From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. And today's shows are supported by our friends over at Nudge Security. You'll hear more from them later on in the show, but a packed show today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Again, I'm traveling very early. I've been on the West Coast like a lot over the last few months, like way too much. And again, new form of appreciation for everyone who tunes in live from the West Coast every single day, because you got to wake up early. Mind you, we go live at 6 a.m. On the West Coast, but getting ready for the show, that's a 4 a.m. wake-up call, right? So there's that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with Deloitte essentially saying, really, but not really. We think, but we're not sure. But anyways, don't believe them. So here's what's going on. The notorious hacker, Intel broker, hacker, criminal, whatever you want to call him, announced the theft on breach forums, the very popular cybercrime forum, that he stole some data from a server belonging to Deloitte. The data includes email addresses, communications between intranet users, and some internal settings. The data is available for hacking forum active users or those who have purchased credit. Deloitte confirms being aware of the claims, and a statement suggests that they did indeed suffer a breach, but that impact is limited. Now, I haven't seen an 8K or 10K filed yet from Deloitte, so my assumption is they're still investigating it. It's very early. But mind you, a lot of these companies, and in many cases, find out about a data breach because of breach forums. There's that. Digital payment giant and money transfer company MoneyGram said a recent cybersecurity incident is the reason for some network outages and other issues for those trying to send money. The company releasing messages over the weekend on social media acknowledging that their network outage after users complained of being unable to use the service starting on Friday. The company said it identified a cybersecurity issue that prompted its IT team to launch an investigation and take systems offline, which was the cause of the network outage. They're working with, obviously, bringing in the best of the best and so forth. MoneyGram is a public company. Was a public company until 2023 when it was purchased for $1 billion by a private equity firm in Madison Dearborn Partners. And so now more than 50 million people a year use MoneyGram to send money in cryptocurrency internationally and within the U.S. Think of Western Union. If you've never heard of MoneyGram, they're kind of the Western Union alternative is the best way to kind of look at it. So they also going through a data breach, and a lot of those this morning, by the way. It's Arkansas City, a small city in Kansas, says its water treatment facility was forced to switch to manual operation while a cybersecurity incident is being resolved. The local media in the vicinity of Arkansas City said that they discovered on the morning of September 22nd a type of attack on the plant itself. Plant operations remained secure, the city announced in an incident notice. According to city manager Randy Frazier, the water supply has not been affected and the incident hasn't caused disruption of service. Likely, it's not an OT incident and it's an IT incident, which is why they can move to manual operation. Despite the incident, the water supply remains completely safe. There's been no disruption of service. The water treatment facility has switched to manual operations while the situation is being resolved. He also noted that the city has full control of the situation and reassured residents that their drinking water is safe. So there's that. But by the way, water treatment facilities, like just water facilities in general, they don't have money. They're a prime target. They don't have budget. They can't get money to do this stuff. Their margins are non-existent, right? They're municipalities. They're predominantly run by municipalities. They're not run on the state level or the federal level. And those municipalities don't have money. These water treatment facilities operate on a skeleton staff. And so, no wonder this stuff happens. No wonder this stuff happens. And this administration has made it kind of a point. We're going to invest in critical infrastructure, blah, blah. Well, water treatment facilities aren't getting any money. They're not. Spoken to many of them. Many of them. I was at an event a few weeks ago. Non-existent. What money? What, there's money? For who? We'd love money. We need money. They don't have it. Really, really disturbing here, by the way. Really, really disturbing. So, city's working on recovering. They're obviously in manual operations, and again, um, uh, they're still continuing their business that way. Sensitive customer data, including medical records and personal details from India's largest health insurer, Star Health and Allied Insurance, are being found publicly on various websites, chatbots on Telegram, as well as breach forums. According to researchers who alerted the Cyber Express, millions of customers' private data are being sold online, with samples readily available via Telegram chatbots upon request. The Star Health and Allied Insurance data breach has raised concerns about the security measures at Star Health, which holds a market cap exceeding $4 billion. The leak did include highly sensitive information like policy documents, claims forms, personal identification numbers. That's the equivalent of a social security number for our friends over in India, tax detail, medical reports, and a whole lot more. The threat actor, operating under the name Zen, has been distributing free samples through chatbots while selling the bulk of the data on breach forums as well. Security experts suggest that the leak has been occurring since at least August of this year, predicting there's a official data breach announcement coming, and they're downplaying the incidents as only a few claims data are there. So there's that. So we'll see how kind of that happens there. So our friends over at Nudge Security have been really, really big supporters of the work we do here. And now here's a short message that I recorded for them, telling you about all the great ways they can help you get Gen AI under control in your organization. Do you know who's experimenting with AI in your organization? Our friends over at Nudge Security have come up with a patented approach for SaaS discovery, giving you a full inventory of all apps ever introduced by anyone in your organizations, and all in minutes. This includes Gen AI applications. The best part is you don't even have to know what you're looking for. You simply do a quick one-time setup, so easy, no change management required, no browser plugins, no network proxies, no agent. Nudge Security is going to discover and categorize every SaaS and cloud account ever created by anyone in your organization. You can get a free 14-day trial today. You'll get a full list of all Gen AI apps and users. You'll get insights into their security posture, compliance certification, breach history, and more, so you can quickly vet new AI tools and guide users towards a secure alternative. Take control of Gen AI security risks today by going to nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub, nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub to start your free 14-day trial today. All right. Thank you, Nudge, for your support. Again, nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub. You get a 14-day free trial. I've gotten a lot of feedback from some of you that it's really been helpful. So go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and continue here. A new version of the Necro malware loader for Android was installed on over 11 million devices through Google Play in a malicious SDK supply chain attack. Necro installs several payloads to infected devices. It activates various malicious plugins, including adware modules that download and execute arbitrary JavaScript index files, tools specifically designed to facilitate subscription fraud, and mechanisms that use infected devices as proxies to route malicious traffic. Kaspersky discovered the presence of the Necro loader on two apps on Google Play, both of which have substantial user bases. The first is the Wuta camera by BenQ, a photo editing and beautification tool with over 10 million downloads on Google Play. Let that sit there for a second. According to the threat analysis report, that Necro appeared on the app with the release of version 6.3.2.148, and that it remained embedded until version 6.3.6.148, which is when Kaspersky notified Google. Kaspersky claims that Max Browser's latest version, that's the next one, had about 1 million downloads. So all in all, just a lot of fun. Google Play, open source. It's great. Try it. The Commerce Department is saying on Monday it's seeking to ban the sale of connected and autonomous vehicles in the U.S. that are equipped with Chinese and Russian software and hardware, with the stated goal of protecting national security and U.S. drivers. While there's minimal Chinese and Russian software deployed in the U.S., the issue is more complicated for hardware. That's why Commerce officials said the prohibitions on the software would take effect for the 2027 model year, and the prohibitions on hardware would take effect only on the 2030 model year or January 1st, 2029 for units without a model year. The measures announced Monday is proactive but critical, the agency said, given all the bells and whistles in cars and cameras and so forth, that threat actors could essentially put in a back door, use the cars, there. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo told reporters on a call on Sunday that foreign adversaries could shut down or take simultaneous control of multiple vehicles. She watched Fast and the Furious. She watched that one scene in Fast and the Furious where they try to kill the Russian ambassador and they start dumping cars from everywhere and taking over cars. Gina Raimondo's catching up to threats, and apparently she wants to ban Russian and Chinese components. Well, that's fine. What's the alternative? Because that's very little alternatives exist outside of Chinese-made parts at the doings of the people who are now wanting to ban Chinese parts. So there's that. Let's get into some news about Microsoft here. So Microsoft, for their end, are doing a lot of house cleaning. Microsoft is in spring cleaning mode, even though it's fall. So far, they've eliminated 730 unused applications and 5.75 million inactive tenants within its cloud environment as part of its Secure Future initiative. Designed to shore up security following a couple of major intrusions into its network and over the past year. The company's also deployed 15,000 new lockdown devices for software production teams over the past 3 months and implemented video-based identity verification for 95% of its production staff. In addition, Microsoft's updated its Entra ID, formerly known as Active Directory, and Microsoft account processes for generating, storing, and rotating token signing keys for public and government accounts. So kind of the idea of a Secure Future initiative really started after a major incident over at Microsoft. They launched it back in November of last year, a few months after the China Storm 0558 breached the Exchange online infrastructure, accessed email accounts of more than 24 government agencies, as well as Midnight Blizzard following that. And then we all remember the scathing report there. So by essentially the Committee for Homeland Security, essentially saying that, Microsoft doesn't know what it's doing, which, partially true, not so much, not really, but there's that. So Microsoft, for their end, are kind of putting out progress reports and kind of letting people know everything that's going on. Now the company maintains a central inventory for more than 99% of their physical assets on its production network. Virtual networks with backend connectivity are isolated from the Microsoft corporate network, so they're doing network segmentation. And they're like, they wrote it in a way where they're like, we're groundbreaking. It's called network segmentation. You didn't have network segmentation. Now you do. Congratulations, Microsoft. Welcome to the 21st century. It's great to have you here with us. Welcome along for the ride. Thank you so much. Microsoft's also using a centrally managed pipeline template for 85% of its production builds for the commercial cloud, reducing the lifespan of personal access tokens to 7 days and disabled secure shell access to internal Microsoft engineering repos. All in all, there's that. They've also kind of gone around and hired a whole bunch of former CISOs to lead different parts of teams, right? So Microsoft launched its Cybersecurity Governance Council as part of a larger restructuring of its internal security culture following the Federal Cyber Safety Review Board. The council will take ownership over ongoing compliance, implementing regulatory requirements, and identifying the architecture required to reach its security goals. All in all, it's made up of really Sean Bowen's on there and Johnson. So, names we all recognize and are familiar with. So that's kind of the big part there. So, there's that for Microsoft. If you haven't subscribed to our Substack, please make sure to do so right now. jamesazar.substack.com. All exclusive writing, all there, all day. The Carnegie Mellon University has published an advisory for a critical flaw that affects the Microchip advanced software framework. Microchip ASF is a free and open source code library for the company's microcontrollers. The US-based semiconductor supplier says the product is meant for evaluation, is for the evaluation and prototyping, design and production phases. The security hole CVE 2024-74990 was discovered by Andrew Combis of Amazon's Element 5.5. According to the CERT-CC, the issues related to ASF's implementation of the tiny DHCP server, and it can allow remote code execution using specially crafted DHCP request. The vulnerability can be tested and actually made true. The organization noted that it affects ASF 3.52.0.2574 and all previous versions of it. tiny DHCP forks available on GitHub could also be impacted. It's currently unaware of practical solution to this problem other than replacing tiny DHCP service with another that does not have the same issue. So there's that. And in the axis of evil in Iran this week is the UN General Assembly. So you'll hear about a bunch of lip singing from the most worthless organization on the planet that promotes the best terrorists as peace-seeking little kittens. So an advanced persistent threat tied to the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security is providing initial access services to pretty much a bevy of state-sponsored hacking groups. UNC 1860 has been the gateway for attacks for notorious groups like Oil Rig and Santi Moniker and a whole bunch of others. Mandian explains in a recent blog post that its focus is exclusively on breaching and establishing a foothold in potentially valuable networks and then kind of selling that down. Over the years, they've teamed up with attacks against targets in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, as well as Albania and Israel. In March, the Israel's National Cyber Directorate warned that wiper attacks were striking organizations across the country. Since the October 7th attack that's really been there, the Bibi Wiper and Bibi Wiper 2.0 Security Joes did an unbelievable job. There's a great write-up by Security Joes on both of those and kind of like how they're evolving the code of the Bibi Wiper. So something very, very much worthwhile looking into. Iran continues to destabilize the region, not only militarily, but also from a cyber perspective as well. So something to keep an eye on. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest and greatest. Until then, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.